Hi, my name is Isabel Jimenez, and I know a lot about baking. Today I'm going to show you how to make everything but the kitchen sink cookies. What I love about baking is that it allows you to be creative while having a set of rules and being able to show what you're feeling or expressing how you're feeling while baking. So we're going to use the ingredients in front of us, which are a cup and a fourth of brown sugar, a cup and a fourth of white sugar, 3 eggs, a cup and a half of marshmallows, a cup and a quarter of roughly chopped white chocolate, and a half a cup of dark chocolate chips, as well as 4 cups of flour, a splash of vanilla, about 2 cups of chopped pretzels, and not pictured currently is about a cup and a quarter of melted peanut butter and about a stick and a half of butter. Combining our wet ingredients with our sugar, which is going to be the brown and white, and then our eggs and our vanilla. And we're going to cream them together until they're smooth. And the part that I like about when you're baking is even though you can be creative with an exact set of rules, there isn't really a right or wrong, or like you have to stick to every exact rule. So like initially this recipe was a chocolate chip recipe by Betty Crocker, and my grandma started just kind of adding whatever she felt like at the time, and it turned into her recipe of everything but the kitchen sink cookies. And like while baking, it allows you to be rigid with rules, but also be flexible and be able to express yourself. So like these were a recipe of cookies that when you weren't feeling your best, it allowed you to take all of that negative feeling like sadness or anger and turn it into something productive and sweet and awesome. So next we're going to put in our chocolate, which this is the white chocolate, and then we're going to put in our chocolate chips and our flour, and we're going to do the flour a little bit at a time so it doesn't get too much out of hand. And then at some point I'll have to switch out between a whisk to a spoon because it will get super thick. But I like that I can use baking as a way to show who I am. I did a lot of baking throughout my life. Now that I'm 29 years old, I started baking when I was 5. My grandma used it as a way for me to cope and express myself. Being that I've been wheelchair bound since the day I was born. Some days I can walk, some days I can't, now that I've gotten older. And baking is just a way to pass the time. It's become a part of who I am. And it's also become a way for me to connect outside of the community when I can't necessarily leave my home. So baking is a fantastic way of showing not only my culture, but what makes me me. And I love this because I'm able to incorporate so many things while baking. I can incorporate my love for music, my love for expression, like some people have dance. I have music and baking. So I constantly listen to like classical music or whatever kind of music I'm feeling when I bake, and that's a great way of me to express my feelings at the same time. And then after we incorporate all the flour and mix it in, we're then going to incorporate our pretzel pieces, our peanut butter, a little bit more vanilla, and our marshmallows. So now that everything is combined, from the peanut butter to the chocolate chips, we're gonna mold it by freehand into balls, just depending on the type of cookie or thickness you like. I'm a little more familiar to the thicker kind of cookie. So you mold them, put them on the cookie sheet, and then you bake them at 350 for about 15 minutes. And while we're waiting on our cookies to bake, after I do this, I'll talk a little bit as to how this reflects to who I am. So basically, as I said, baking is a way that I use for expression, especially being that I couldn't leave the house a lot, or being that I was on certain treatments where I couldn't necessarily leave hospital setting on occasion. So when you live in a long-term hospital or you do things that require you to be there on a regular, you kind of get some, I guess, special treatment in a way, because they try to make your stay as comfortable as possible. And mine was getting once a week, or depending on our setup, twice a month, depending on how long I was there. I was able to go down to the kitchen and bake for people in my area or in my ward, depending on where I was and the type of episode I was having due to my condition, because I have cerebral palsy, so things aren't always consistent and they're always changing. So I used to bake a lot, even at home, to share with my community, to share with my setup of those around me in the hospital, just to kind of bring some joy and a little bit of lightheartedness to our kind of upsetting situation. Because, you know, when you're there, you can't always control what's going on, and you need to feel like something in your life is going right. And baking is a good way to do that. And I can do that from my chair. I can do that while standing if I'm having a really good day. Baking is just an awesome way to express myself and be more a part of my family than I would normally, because I feel like if I wasn't in my chair setting, my setup would be a little different. So now that we're gonna put these in the oven for about 15 minutes, we're gonna wait and see how they turn out. After 15 minutes, you're gonna wait till they're almost golden brown, just about to be finished. And then after that, we're gonna see how they come out. So now that it's been 15 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and take our cookies out. They should be golden brown and expanded. And we let them cool for about 20 minutes and then enjoy with whatever your beverage of choice is. Thank you for hearing about my literacy and what I'm literate in, and letting me share my thing that brings me joy the most.